Hello again, sorry we're a wee bit late, and welcome to the Daily Templar Report with me, your guest, Jim Dowson. God bless each and every one of you who has come into the room today. How are yous all? And remember, like the video, click subscribe, press the bell and comment below. And remember, we're also on purged.tv, www.purged.tv. Remember, get in there, set yourself up a wee account, and when you get in, people are getting a bit confused. You've got to go up to the top right hand corner, log in, and then you're in. So make sure you do that. Updates for Purged are inbound, okay? So we'll get you all sorted with this because that's where we need to go. So everybody's disappearing. Everybody's going down at the moment. We've got, what have we got? We've got, what do you call them? Who's the one that's down at the moment? Don, we were putting some time and effort into. Parlour's down. Gab is not down, but it's so ridiculously slow you can hardly get on it. It's crazy. But you know, these are the mistakes, all these people. I can't believe that these folk didn't know this was coming. I cannot believe it. It's incredible. But unless these people get advertising on their sites, they ain't going to work. And you say to me, before I read a wee bit of scripture, I'll explain to you. What do you mean by that, Jim? Hold on a minute. This seat's sunk down. Hold on. I get my full. Wait till I get to my full stature. That's it. Which is not very big anyway, but anyway. What happens is, if you've got a site, say like Gab, and it's got no real advertising, well, it means people like the Templars, we're at a huge disadvantage and it's of no real use to us. We don't want to go in there, say something for what, 3 million people and 2.5 million are crazy neo-Nazi loons. It's irrelevant to us, so we wouldn't do it, we wouldn't be on it. But if we can go in there and target adverts to people for the Templars, then we get good, decent folk, because these other people are not interested in things like the Templars and it costs money to join. They're not interested. But it means we can get our message out to the right people. Now, there's thousands of organisations like us, good, decent organisations. But if you have no advertising platform, we're not interested. And this is what none of them understand. Because Mr. Torber, nice man. I spoke to him back in 2016 when all this first started happening. I did try and explain this, but I don't think he understood what I was telling him. And, you know, I made my living at high-level marketing worldwide. I know what I'm talking about. I'm not an idiot. And if you read any of the reports with us, they know, you know, we know what we're doing. It's not just me. There's a lot of serious people in the Templars. But you could be a highly successful multi-millionaire, billionaire businessman, but you don't have a clue about what makes people tick because their genre is completely different. This is a very, very personal, interpersonal relationship we have on these platforms. So we are the experts. So to Parlour and to Gab, if you want assistance, we'll give you assistance. FOC, pro bono, no problem. It's all for the cause, it's all for the fight. We will set you up with an expert in social media who will advise you exactly what to do and how to do it and where to go to get it done. No problem. We're there. So hopefully that's taken on board because really a lot of these people, lovely people, good people, they haven't a clue. And because they've got a couple of £1 million in donations, they don't see the need for advertising revenue. It's nothing to do with the revenue, folks. It's about getting good people like the Templars on and staying on. If we're not on, all you get is a load of cranks, 5Gers, anti-vax, and neo-Nazis who just sit on there talking all day, crazy stuff to each other. There's nothing serious there. You remember, Facebook only became a serious political force when they started doing the advertising. And at one time, we were all over it. We were spending vast sums of money on Facebook advertising. So unless you get that, no platform is any good to anybody. Might be short term. You can go on it. You can go on and listen to somebody, but they won't be on it that long if they cannot advertise and influence the people they're trying to get to. So that's the reality. Let's hope they take heed. Let's see, have a wee look here. I want to read you a wee bit out of the good book again. And I want to read you from chapter 26 of the Proverbs, verse 1. As snow in summer and as rain in harvest, so honour is not seemly for a fool. You think about that, you'll know what it means. As snow in summer and as rain in harvest, so honour is not seemly to a fool. Because fools have no honour, that's why they're fools. So, great word, as usual, from God's written word in Proverbs there. Study the Proverbs, I'll tell you, do the world of good. And we know God will bless this. The public reading of His infallible, inspired, and inerrant word. Amen. So, good stuff, folks. Excellent. Right, things are plodding on. I don't know what happened to President Trump's speech yesterday, but I've heard today he's doing a speech down at the Alamo. Nothing more fitting. Remember the Alamo? You know, and a lot of people in America don't understand this, but the vast majority of men in the Alamo were Scotch-Irish. Crockett, Bowie, all these people. They're from Kentucky men, they're Scotch-Irish men. And a lot of the rifles they had came from here, from Northern Ireland. They called them the Kentucky long rifles. Most of them originated in the north of Ireland. So it's a place great to my heart. It's a thing that we are taught in Ulster as small children about the Alamo and the bravery. And my personal favourite film is John Wayne's version of the Alamo. You remember it? I think it was Richard Widmark, John Wayne. Can't remember who else is in it, but it's a great film. You've got Bowie, Crockett, Travis, all these guys, absolutely fantastic, and Sam Houston trying to get there to save them. But a lot of those men, when they did the Alamo, and this is what Americans don't realise, but I'm going to tell you something. There's a city, our holy city, called Londonderry, in the north, right up in the north of Northern Ireland, and it's an old cathedral, a walled city, built in the 1600s, a wall, and in the middle of it, St Columb's Cathedral, after St Columbanus. And when the king was causing all sorts of chaos in Britain, the Protestants fled there. The letter was found here in this town where I am right now. They found a letter saying that people were going to rise up and slaughter everybody. So all the people fled to within the walls of Derry, Londonderry. And we around our church. And if you go today to that church, there's a huge mound out the front of it. That's all the people who died. And that is where the famous war cry, "No surrender," comes from. Because the king came up to the gates, we had an English governor, and the king said, "You must surrender this city to me." And the governor said, "Oh yes, of course," and grovelled and scraped. "Oh yes, sir, 3 bags full, sir." But 13 young Scottish boys, and many of them many of them spoke Gaelic, didn't speak English, spoke Gaelic. So they didn't cry out "No surrender," they cried out "No surrender" in the Scots Gaelic. And they slammed the gates in the face of the king and said, "No surrender." And that was the opinion of the Scotch-Irish. We'd rather die in here than surrender to a despotic king. Anyway, during the night, this English guy who was one of us jumped over the wall, joined the king. Traitor. And to this day, we should have got a picture of that, the burning of Lundy. We burn a giant effigy of that man 300 years later. And it's the same family who make that effigy every year. And we drag it through the city streets. We parade round it with the fifes and drums, 50,000 of us. And then we burn it and we dance about like savages, whooping and yelling and beating this burning effigy. Because you should never remember the damage traitors cause. Never. But anyway, that's what happened. And the people held out there from the 18th of December until the 12th of August. Thousands died of starvation, malnutrition. We were still fighting. We were going out and attacking the king, coming back in. We were doing all right, actually. But anyway, on the 12th of August, an English ship called the Mountjoy broke the boom, which is a big chain that was laid across the river. It stopped the boats getting up and saved the remaining people, the victims, the survivors. But we lost thousands of men, women and children. We were eating cats and dogs and all that stuff. And it's very famous. And every year we celebrate it with a parade, 50,000 strong. And I go there every year. It's my favourite parade of the year. But the men inside the Alamo's grandfathers and great-grandfathers had been in Derry/Londonderry. They had been there. And the Alamo was very natural to them. They knew they were hideously outnumbered. They knew they had very little chance of survival or success at all. No chance of success and very little of survival. They knew that. But they were Scotch-Irish men. And they had grew up on their mother's knee as babes learning the great heroic tales of the Siege of Derry, 1688 to 1689. So the Alamo didn't just come out of blue. It came out of those people's personal, family, ancestors, historical records and deeds, great deeds. So the Alamo was America's Siege of Derry. And they knew what they were doing. They knew fine well what they were doing. And they were reenacting something their great-grandfathers done. So that's where that comes from. So the Alamo is very close to my heart. The memory of the Alamo has spurred me on many a time in my life. Many a time in my life. It was the spirit of the Alamo that gave me that wee bit of extra courage to stand my ground. So God bless the Americans for giving us the Alamo. And God bless this Emerald Isle for providing the men who stood fast against Santa Anna at the Alamo. Now I hear President Donald Trump, don't forget that. President Donald Trump's going to be speaking at the Alamo tonight. No finer place to make a last stand speech. God bless you, sir. God bless America. I cannot wait to see the speech. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be great. Yep, it's great. Well, Templar was the start of the Republic. Well, I don't know about that. Well, the Republic of well, I don't know. No, I don't know about that. Don't really know. Who knows? But the Alamo was something we should never forget and remember. Sometimes we have a fantastic victory in defeat. How many men, how many soldiers has the Alamo inspired? How many wars have the Americans won because the soldiers' courage was found in the memory of the Alamo? So don't ever think that a sacrifice like that is in vain. No, no, no. The Irish understand this. It's called a blood sacrifice. The men who attacked the GPO in 1916, they knew they couldn't win that. They knew no chance they're going to win that. But their example spurred on a nation to go on to freedom. And the same with the Alamo. It spurred an entire nation, a young America, to go on and become the best country in the world and the most powerful country in the world. So let's remember the men of the Alamo. God bless Texas. We've got a lot of Texans here. Big Frank, all the boys, Clinton and all them. They're all Texans. What do you call what do you call the old fella? Oh, he's a nice guy. Hart. Haskell, Hart. Nice man. Great old fella. And I know he won't mind me calling him an old fella, because he's an old fella, and shortly, if God spares me, I'll be even older fella. But he's a great man, and let me tell you, that man is smart. He's got wisdom. That's what old people have, is wisdom. And people get offended now being called old. Old's a great thing, because it means you've lived. It means you've got experience. It means you've got a wise head on your shoulders. Great thing. So we're very fond of the Texans. As you know, we normally have our conferences in Texas. So we find it a very good place, and we've been treated with great respect and hospitality in Texas, and I'm sure other places would do the same, but I really, really like Texas, especially because of the Alamo. Right, folks, what are we going to do today? I was going to show you something. I got this through the post the other day. Look at this. That's me. So let me see. And inside is a lovely letter from the British Freedom Party. This is Jada Franson's outfit. It's a political party, which I am a proud member of, I may add. I've only been in two parties in my life. I was never in the BNP. I worked for them. I was never in the BNP. It's socialist policies, which I don't like. Even if it's national socialism, I don't like anything with the S word in it. I'm not joining it. I'm having nothing to do with it. Anything. Let it be national socialism or international socialism or local socialism. I don't care. I don't like socialism. That's it. I don't like it. I hate it. I'm an old-fashioned, redneck, anti-communist person. And to me, socialism is just a posh word for some kind of weird form of communism. I'm sure I'll be told I'm wrong by many, many eminent political types, but I don't care. I don't like anything to do with it. And the BNP had some connotations of socialism and all that stuff in it, you know. I believe in the workhouses and the deserving poor and the undeserving poor. So here's a nice letter I got. Lovely letter. Scotland is British. Of course it is at the moment, but yeah, I'm a sort of strange breed. You know, if Scotland wants to go independent, you know, what are we going to do about it? But it's not. Scotland's been taken over by communists. The Scottish National Party, just like Sinn Féin, are communists. That's the reality. So I don't want to see Scotland going independent under a communist regime. No. If Scotland gets its act together and at one time in the future wants to get into some kind of independence, well, it's up to them. But they won't. Because if you remove the communism, most people in Scotland are very happy with the arrangement. We've got our own parliament up there. We're part of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. It's a wonderful thing. Why would you break something that's worked so well? I don't understand it. It boggles my mind. But never be fooled. The push for Scottish independence is not by kilt-wearing patriots. It's by red flag-waving communists. That's a fact. I am a Scot by blood. I'm extremely proud of that. I would fight and die for Scotland, but I would rather fight and die against these people who are trying to usurp Scotland and drag it out of the Union. No, don't like it. But I got this nice letter. Why did I get this letter? Because look, I got this beautiful 2021 calendar from Miss Franson. Thank you very much if you're watching. I know she does pop in now and again, watch the Templars. And it's personally signed. This is not printed, by the way. I don't know if you can see it. Don't know if you can see that. But there's a nice message. Dear Jim, best wishes for 2021 for God and Britannia. Jada Franson. There you go. Beautiful. Now I got this because I donated 20 quid and there's still some of these left. There's about 100 left of these, I'm told. So you can go on, the link's there. The brother's putting a link up. You can order these. Now this money goes directly to the election campaign in Scotland, because Jada's going to take on that hideous communist woman who is the leader of the Scottish government. So she's going to stand against her. Other people will be standing, which we won't mention here. So you've been interested in that. So really, this is a great cause. Yeah, it's a piece of cardboard, nice shiny cardboard with a nice picture on it for 20 quid. You might think that's a bit much. No, it's it's to go out to the election campaign. So please get one of these, put it in your fridge. It's a nice calendar. It's very nice. It's got all the stuff on it, the Britannia, which is a beautiful image. I mean, that's a great image. Old Victoriana image when Britain had an empire before the Reds and the Communists destroyed us. So there you go. The link's up there. I believe there's a link up there, brother. Yeah, the link's up there. So you can get one of these for a nice donation. And it's personally written. That's not printed on that. These are all handwritten by the good lady herself. So there we go. Please get one of these and help the election campaign, because we're all under pressure now. We're all in this together. The Americans are getting hammered. We've been getting hammered for 40 years. Australians are the same. Canadians are the same. Look at Canada with that mad leader they've got. New Zealand's even, that's probably the worst. They've got a crazed woman in charge there. What's the common denominator here? They're all lefty libtards. That's what they are. Do you know, they're not even communists or Marxists, most of them. They're actually just liberals. At least a communist has an ideology, whether it be Leninism, Marxism, Bolshevism, whatever. These people are libtards. They just hate everybody. They're a bunch of haters. They hate us. They hate everything. But they don't actually stand for anything. And that's why they fall for everything. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. Remember that old saying? Bet your granny told you that. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for everything. And that's a fact. Right, just let me have a wee quick look. Remember, get one of these ASAP, because there's no many left, folks, so don't miss out. And it's only the 11th of January or something, so you have plenty of time. I see Bruce Samuelson in there, John Monkman, Sam S. He's saying not every socialist idea is terrible. No, that's the problem. Most things are okay, you know. And I want to tell you, the town I come from, where I was born in Scotland, Airdrie was the place where, what do you call him, Keir Hardie, the founder of the Labour movement, was from. And some people nowadays, the socialists claim him as their own, but what they don't realise, he was a hardline Protestant fundamentalist preacher, Christian man. So yes, there is such a thing as that, but you've got to be careful, because the Roman Catholic Church started dabbling about with social doctrine, and they had this liberation theology. What happened? Every country in South America and other in Africa became full-blown communists. So you have to be careful. You know, there is a socialist, what I would call a humanist element amongst Christians to help your fellow man, but it's from a position of, it's my choice. I'm not legislating into being taxed to death to help useless people who won't work. That's the difference. You know, you should, if you make money and God has blessed you with an ability and a talent to make money, you should use that talent and use that money that God has given you to benefit your fellow man. Remember Andrew Carnegie? Quick story, Andrew Carnegie became the richest man in the world. Even in modern day standards, nobody's got as much money as Andrew Carnegie. Who was he? Well, US Steel. Pittsburgh, all that stuff, all the coal mines in West Virginia, all of that was feeding into Andrew Carnegie's steel business. The richest man the world has ever seen. He left Dunfermline in Scotland with a horse and cart on a donkey with his old mother. He was a baby. And people laughed at them and mocked him as they left the town to go and seek a new life in America. The dream, the American dream. Well, he made the American dream happen. Became the richest man on the planet. And personally, I find it even difficult to speak about without getting choked up. Before his mother died, he took her back to Dunfermline and he rode back up the street in a donkey cart. But this time he was the richest man in the world. And nobody was laughing at him or his mother. What a story. But he built the public library in my town. He built the public library in the Protestant end of Belfast, and he built the public library in the Catholic end of Belfast. He built them in Liverpool, in Manchester, in Newcastle, in every city across this land, not just this land, across the world. He was the guy who built the first public libraries, and all over America, Carnegie libraries, because he wanted to use his wealth to raise people from poverty and darkness and ignorance. And he said the last 20 years of his life was his most fulfilling, trying to get rid of the money that he'd amassed. His fund still exists today. It's worth tens and tens of billions, and it still gives out money to people. So that's a wonderful thing, and that's what we should do. You know, I speak to folk, you know, what these like Elon Musk and all these people have got 20, 30 billion in the bank. What for? I mean, seriously, what for? There's no pockets in the shroud, my friend. Think of the good you could do with that money. Mark Zuckerberg, what did these people do with this ridiculous wealth? Nothing. And, you know, and when they do it like Bill Gates, they use it for wickedness and evil, trying to reduce the population. Start with yourself, you know, Mr. Gates, if you really believe there's too many people in the world, you know the answer, kid. You know the answer. So, William Fuller, Thank you very much. He's made a very generous donation to the Priory. And remember, this is what we need to do. I want to just show you some pictures of our good brothers got him a techie man, just to put you up to date where we are. And we've got far more of the roof on now, but we don't have any pictures today. But here we are. That's you looking from down the garden up at the gable end, the front end, the entrance door of the lower chapter house. And then you look at, so that's that. The next one is, let me see what the next one is. That's you looking down from the upper chapter house to the lower chapter house. It's very nice. You can see the steel and everything like that. Okay. And here's another picture from the front end. That's the front end again, the entrance door to the lower chapter house. It's wonderful, isn't it? And all the wood's going up now, the roof's going up. This is all because of you. You done this. I mean, you might be feeling a bit miffed at the moment with the COVID and all the stuff that's happening, President Trump getting the election stolen. But you're involved in something good, something successful, something wholesome, and that's that. You look at it, maybe a very, very humble chapter house, and we're going to start in the chapel soon. Humble in the scheme of things, of course. It's not the Empire State Building, it's not the Great Pyramids, but it's built, and it's built with care, and every block has been laid with love and care, and we've built it 3 times to the engineering specifications that a building that size needs built to. I'll say that again, we've built it to 3 times the engineering specifications that it needs to be. And people have said, are you mad? Are you insane? Why have you built it 3 times stronger than it needs to be? Because we are the Templars. Most people look at a building 70 to 100 years lifespan. No, we want it 500 years lifespan. That's why we built it like that. That's why. And you're involved in that, and you've paid for it, and you've done it. God bless you. So it's great. Jim's mustard pants. Yep. Well, I'll give you a wee treat. You what? You ready? Ready? I'll give them a wee treat today. I have said mustard pants on today. Can you see them? My daughter bought them for me. And the wife doesn't let me wear them. None of the family let me wear them anywhere, so I wear them to the Priory. So there you go. The pursuit of efficiency has promoted decadence in materials. And yes, of course, Sam, you're 100% right. Lady Roth is saying, can we have Mr. Pierce on again? Oh yes. Mr. Pierce... Joe Pierce wasn't on our show. He was on Niles. He was on Sean Ahern's show. I see the big Irishman in the room today, actually. Aye, the Donegal man's having a go at my trousers, you see. Yes, they're rather interesting. Yeah, we should. Joe Pierce is a good fella. He knows his stuff, He knows his stuff. So, Jacob Lewis, all ready for work. We know it's just unfortunate we're on this island and very few people are there. But, thanks. No, sorry, Lady Rotha, yeah, you're right, but Joe Pierce is a very good speaker and very interesting. Niall saying there that he's coming on very soon. That's excellent. That's very good indeed. I'd like to see Joe. Well, listen, remember we've got a new shipment in all this gear, all the weapons, swords, good swords. Do you know nobody's bought a sword on here for a while, brother? Do you know that? Could you put a sword link up, just in case? Nobody's bought a sword for ages on here. They've still been going, but not on here. But look at this. And you might notice our adverts popping up now in some of the more right-wing pages, different ones. I won't mention them here, but their adverts are popping up here, there, and everywhere, and going quite well. So we just have to do what we can do. But the good thing is now, millions of people are voluntarily taking themselves off Twitter and Facebook. Millions. This is the big divide now, and I'm ever so pleased because Mr. Dowson's mantra. The Templar's mantra: separation, not unity. Every other Christian, right-wing, patriotic group, it's all they're going about. Unity, unity, unity. Yeah. Good. Bruce Samuelson's took to smelling books now. I'm sorry, Bruce, if I've infected you with this illness of mine, this perversion. But remember, we have always preached separation and division. That's all we've ever preached, separation. And this is the great separation now. We, our collective we, everybody who's Christian, patriotic, conservative, right-wing, we are all leaving. Arrivederci, bon voyage, see you later, Mr. Zuckerberg and Mr. Who's the boy that runs that Twitter? Jack Dorsey. Goodbye. It's been a blast. See you later. Have a good life. We're leaving in our millions. In our millions, we're heading to the door. Your businesses will be doomed because you'll be left with is green-haired crazies who don't spend any money in advertising, who don't do anything like that. But we're leaving. And we should have left in 2016. You'll find videos of me saying we should all be gone from here now, and people with money should be setting things up, because this really is the most important thing in the last 300 years. Since the 400 years since the Gutenberg printing press came out, this is it. You will either stand and fall on your ability to reach the masses. Gutenberg taught us that with the Bible. That's why we're here now. That's why all non-Roman Catholics are here to this day, because men got themselves together and got printing presses and done it. You know, this is, that's a good point you made there. You know, we're following a man, Zuckerberg, and all these people, all of these people who run big tech. We're following people who are specialising in social interaction, but these men are weirdos. They're incels with no friends. So what do they actually know? Nothing. But just remember, as Gutenberg and the printing press revolutionised modern, it probably kick-started what we call the modern world. And I know some folks say it was a good thing, it was a bad thing. It's irrelevant. This is where we are now. Unless we get a grip of our own outlets, we have no voice. That means no Conservative politician would ever be elected again. Ever. In Britain, in Germany, America, never. Because our voice has been removed from the public square. So this is where we are. You're living through one of the most seminal moments in human history. Did you know that? Seriously, did you actually grasp what's going on right now? Are you aware of the gravity of what is actually unfolding before your eyes? Remember the other day I said people in revolutions, they don't know we're in it until it's over and done with. Well, you are in the centre, the eye of the storm right now of the coming war, the info wars. Alex Jones plug. That's what we're doing now. But they've been punching us senseless for the last 5 or 6 years. Now we're in the ring and we've got the gloves on and we're ready to rock and roll. Early days yet, we're still in the corner. We're still getting our shoulders rubbed. We're still getting the water splashed in our face. But we're ready. That bell's going to ring any minute, and we're coming out. We're coming out swinging. We are coming out swinging. So on one side, you've got us, the Patriots, ready to do battle. On the other side, you've got Jack Dorsey and Zuckerberg. What do you think is going to happen? If I was a betting man, I'd put the money on, and it wouldn't be on them, I can tell you that. But that's where we are. You're living through one of the most momentous events in modern human history. There you go. That's a fact. And it's early days, but bear with it. And we have to be ready to support people whenever we can. And the Templars, make no mistake about it, the Templars will be at the very heart of this. We've already got communication channels getting opened up with some of the big people who are involved in this right-wing tech revolution. We've got people speaking to people. We were going to be right at the heart of it. Make no mistake about it. Okay, I want to ring Lady Rotha, ding ding, I tell you, that's it. They're going to get their logos rising. Amen, you better believe it. The banners of Christ have been raised and they're flying high. At the moment, the enemy think we're bait. No, we're no bait. We're just taking a breather and getting ourselves together. But when they hear the trumpet blast, oh, and that's what you know, the Lord is coming. When the great mighty blast of the trumpet sound, the flags will be raised and Christ's army will march onto victory in America, in Australia, in Canada, in Britain, in Ireland. We will sweep all before us. And we will ask no quarter and we will give none. Oh, there's great times ahead, folks. Great times ahead. I want to just go back to this book and read where I finished yesterday. The Dude's Vault book. If you haven't got one, get them. There's a new print one coming, but we've still got a few kicking about. Not many, but a few. So, I want to talk about, we were talking yesterday, separation. There's a thing. You think I'm possessed with it? Well, I really think separation is important because this is where we've been going wrong. Right-wing groups have been saddling up with other right-wing groups just because of a certain issue. In Britain, we don't like the Islamification of Britain. So we're getting into bed with utter scumbags. Just because they don't like the Islamification of Britain doesn't mean to say they're good people. They're scumbags. Look at Tommy Robinson, all his crew. Absolute trash. Who wants anything to do with these people? I don't. And you shouldn't just cast your morals and your religious views aside because somebody's saying the right things on one subject. Where are they on abortion? Tommy Robinson supports it. Where are they in multiculturalism? Tommy Robinson supports it. Where are they in LGBTQ+? Tommy Robinson supports it. Why would Christians get involved with a person? But they have. And I'm using Tommy a bit unfairly there because he's actually a very affable wee fella. But I don't really think he knows what he's doing. And he's going to become a cropper, as he has done. But there is dozens of people like Tommy. Dozens of people who have risen to prominence and people following him. There's a woman here in Britain called Anne-Marie Waters. She runs a thing called For Britain, a political party. And I know people who've joined that party. She is an Irish atheist, one-time speaker for the Humanist Society, friend of the hard left Labour Party, and actually stood in an election for them in a hard left part of London. And she's a lesbian and pro-abortion, and she forms a British party. She's Irish, and people are joining her. And she's fond of you know what I mean? People are joining her. Is there something wrong with your head? Is there something happened? Did your mother drop you? Does her want with you? If you're involved with that kind of thing, you're daft. You're away with the fairies. So separation. So this is the chapter in the Deus Vult, Reconquista of the West. And let me tell you, folk, the great Reconquista is coming. And it's not a Reconquista against Islamification. The first Reconquista we need is against the communists, against the Red Peril. That's it. Who are destroying the very fabric of our society with their sexual perversions, with their political intrigue, and their hatred of anybody who loves and nurtures freedom. That's where the Reconquista's got to start, with the Reds. That's where we need to go. So this book is on separation. That's our first. You cannot fight if you're surrounded by scum. So we need to get rid of the scum before we can fight properly. And with God. Do you think God is going to take anything to do with you and an organisation if you're mixing with the type of people I've just been talking about? Don't be ridiculous. Of course he won't. Of course he won't. It won't have anything to do with you. But let's read from here about separation. Ideally, of course, the separation should be geographical. Oh, wait a minute. That's the wrong bit. I've done that yesterday. I beg your pardon. Sorry. Right, here we are. In historic terms, the best example of this separation is probably the Jews, the people who shall dwell alone, a people who are often seen by those around them as not so different to the rest of us, but who have for 2,000 years quietly kept themselves to themselves with an attitude to the others which in anyone else would be condemned as virulent racism, assuming that you consider the term invented by Bolshevik mass murderer Leon Trotsky, real name Lev Bronstein, to have any validity at all. The most crucial single tactic for self-imposed internal exile for members of our Christian, ethnically European community is homeschooling. I homeschool all my kids. And the amount of people that come to me and say, Jim, you won't believe what they're trying to teach my daughter or my son. I always say to them, oh, I will believe it. I absolutely do believe it. What I do not believe is you are so ridiculously laxed in your attitude as a parent, guardian of your child's future, your offspring's future, your name going forward into eternity's future, that you have sent them to a state-sponsored brainwashing camp, and then think that I can do something about it. Get a grip of yourself. Deal with your kids. Don't send them to the brainwashing gulags. Madness. So, yeah, homeschooling, combined with disconnecting the TV from the external signals and the radical curbing of internet use and computer gadgets. This is the key for restoring parental guidance and authority for children, and denying the liberal elite the power to bend the young twigs so that they distort the future branches of the next generation. No computer, no internet, that they can't get to them. They can't touch them. In the words of MC Hammer, can't touch us. However, such responsible and loving shielding of children from liberal brainwashing on TV screens, mobiles, phones and school desks will be undermined if those children then go out to play with peers who are being poisoned and immersed in the Babylonian mainstream. But children need to be able to play and grow up with other children. So the only way to square the circle is to allow them to have a proper childhood is to take action to attract and create a group of like-minded homeschooling families whose children grow up as neighbours and holiday time playmates. That brings us to the central role of intentional communities, I beg your pardon. So tomorrow I'm going to go on with that and how we can build secure communities for our own people. Because remember, our kids are the future. We'll be dead soon. Our kids are the next generation. So you should be fanatical about what your kids listen to and what they watch and who they associate with. You should be utterly fanatical about that. And it's all in here. Deus Vult, Reconquista of the West, the best book I've ever read. Not because some of the elements in there come from my own mantra, but it genuinely is. It genuinely is. 99% of that, I'd never seen that until it was out, and I love it. I keep reading it over and over and over again. It's brilliant. So there we are, folks. God bless you all. That's what we need to do. Start our own country, yeah. Jim's Cape rings a bell, 51, 84. Yeah, good. Yeah, I see a lot of folk in there. Very good to see so many people interested in what we're saying. But that's all from me today. I think we're going to try and get Mr. Griffin on tomorrow. He's in the room, so can you come on tomorrow, Mr. Griffin? He'll get back to me in a wee minute. I see Andy in the room there. God bless you, Andy. I know you're not been keeping well. I hope you're picking up a wee bit, because you're a dear brother. We love you dearly, and we really need your wisdom in these terrible times. Michael McGuffin, how you doing? Jake Liberty, how are you doing? Nick Griffin says he can come in the room tomorrow, so we're going to bring Nick in tomorrow as a guest, and we'll talk about some stuff. We might go over to Purge, because we can talk freer there. We'll maybe do that. So if you're not on purged.tv, do it now so you're all ready for tomorrow, okay? Do it now and get over there and get yourself registered, and make sure tomorrow you log in first, and then you can go into the chat and do all that stuff. It's dead easy. Wee Mouse, thank you, and God bless you. She's a lovely wee woman. I speak to her regularly. God bless you. So that's it. Natasha M and all that. Everybody, I'm sorry I didn't have much time today to go through all this, but I think about you all the time, and I respect you dearly, and I appreciate the time you take watching the Templar Report. Thank you. That's all from me. God willing, I'll be here with tomorrow. Until then, remember, stick close to God. You won't go far wrong. Does Vault.